Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 19th episode of Cooldown Timer. I'm one of your hosts, Neefu, and with me today I am joined by Zingallsartman.
Bring me kobolds and bring me beer.
And from the frozen wastelands of Alaska, Mark Hamilton.
You know, there's more to Alaska than frozen wastelands.
Lies.
There's fish.
And from the movie theater, we have ices.
Yay.
We now have ices.
Wait, you guys went to the movies?
No. Jackie got off work and brought us ices from the theater.
What?
We now have ices.
Mark, we would bring you one, but it's so cold up there in Alaska.
In the frozen.
You went movie theater ices? You didn't even go to the movie theater?
Yeah, this happens to me
What?
all the time.
I'm going to take this cup.
Can you imagine someone who just always gets their food from the movie theater? They're like independently wealthy. They just use it as a grocery store. They don't even go see movies.
That would be
Intriguing.
just the worst.
Like, okay, I'll have 5 plastic pizzas.
That'll be $500, please.
Yeah, no problem.
Overpriced coffee? Awesome.
We just watched the Lego movie this week for my birthday. It's good stuff.
It was really
It's good
good.
stuff.
Definitely get a chance to watch it.
Oh, I want to see that. I hear it's good.
And when you get the chance to watch it, actually take advantage of the chance to watch
Make sure that you create a chance for you to be able to watch it, and then pounce on that chance that you created to be able to watch the movie and watch the movie.
Speaking of other things that have happened this past week for us, even though this will be quite a ways back for you guys,
Yes.
Zingallsartman and I got to play the Titanfall beta.
Da, 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 da.
Oh my gosh.
It was pretty fun.
I have not had that much fun playing like a first-person shooter competitive game ever.
Yeah, me neither. I've never been a huge fan of the Call of Duty, Battlefield, that kind of stuff, but Titanfall was a lot of fun. You know, part of it though might have been just because there were, giant mechs in the shooter.
Yeah.
And it definitely felt to me a bit of a callback to kind of the older shooters. It's very fast-paced.
Oh, it is so fast-paced.
And I've never actually played any of the old Quake games, but I've seen them played, and it looked a little bit like some of the old Quake, but obviously with giant mechs and I don't know.
Actually, you know what? That does make me think about something, because the only other competitive multiplayer first-person shooter that I've ever really been able to get into was Unreal 3.
Ooh,
Oh, yeah, and
that's a very classic
That is
style.
so fast-paced. Or was it Unreal 3? Or yeah, that is so fast-paced.
Any of the Unreal are very much like in the old day. It was Quake and Unreal. Those were the two shooters, and they played like old shooters. You run fast, you pick things up, you shoot all the time. Not really, but strafing.
Well, but that's how old shooters were, and then people were like, it's not realistic enough, and so they got more and more realistic till we're down to Call of Duty, where it's basically, as realistic as you can get. Well, not as you can get, not as realistic as we're gonna get, hopefully soon. And then they're like, they pulled this out, and it's a lot of fun because you still get the shooter feels a lot like Call of Duty, but I mean, you're running really fast, you're jumping off walls, you're fighting in mechs. I found that my favorite way to kill people was to use the auto pistol, which locks onto people, and wall jump above them and just follow them in the sky, firing at them from the sky. Not the most practical thing to do, but dang, was it fun.
I know. And so I was talking to one of my other friends about it, and he was also playing it. He was saying that he actually didn't like a lot of the fast-paced chaos, and I adored that fast-paced chaos. I was reading online, there was someone perfectly described each little match as like a little shot of crack that just like a little shot of adrenaline that just makes you like, oh gosh.
There are definitely times, and I've never been a fan of that crazy fast-pacedness like that, but there are definitely times when I'm not in the mood for that, and I really have trouble getting into it, and I get annoyed when things go wrong with my plan because you can't plan. You have to just go in and just see what happens and just let your instincts guide you through the battlefield. And so there were definitely times where I really didn't like that. But all in all, the chaos is a lot of fun.
It does sound like fun. Reminds me of my old LAN parties I would go to.
Also, I can't stress this enough. Max!
And supposedly, this information kind of got leaked over the last couple days for us, but you as the listeners should probably have a little more information on this now, but supposedly there's also going to be giant monsters in it, so they're going like full-on Pacific Rim style with this thing.
Also, you know, you see in the gameplay videos and stuff of the pilots jumping on the backs of the other Titans and taking them out and stuff. And just so everyone's clear, that is exactly as satisfying as it looks. It's really fun. And one of my favorite things is, this is especially easy for me with the auto pistol. I spend a lot of time taking out Titans that way, and you're right on top of the ejection seat. So when the pilot ejects, you eject with him, and then you get to have a little sky battle as you're, 200, 300 feet in the air, fighting another pilot as you're falling back towards the planet.
What's actually kind of funny is I have not seen any gameplay videos or screenshots. I really have no idea what the game looks like or plays like, except for what people tell me verbally.
Well, one thing you should know is the Titans are not nearly as powerful as they look. Your Titans can fall fast,
especially when you're up against 4 other Titans of your other team.
Well, and that's why I love making the nuclear reactor thing and just turning your Titan into a walking bomb and just running it right into the middle of the enemy and just jumping out. But no, I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with it.
I don't even know how tough they look.
Well, they're about 24 feet tall is what they're saying.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I heard there's...
Are we talking... wait, what I want to know is, are we talking mech warrior
24 foot tall,
or like Pacific Rim mechs? What are we talking?
It's like mech armor, so it's twice 2 to 3 times bigger than a human.
Doesn't help me too much. Okay, when I'm saying mech warrior, do you know what I mean? I mean like the RoboCop robot.
Oh no,
thing.
okay, so it's more like a tinier version of like the Pacific Rim ones. So imagine.
No, so they look like people.
Not so human. They don't have heads.
Yeah, they don't have head. Well, the Atlas.
They do look like
doesn't.
mech warriors.
All right, I'm gonna send you a picture, Mark.
One of the other things that I think is actually really interesting about the way that they designed the game, and I know a lot of people are talking about this online, but they put a lot of effort into making sure that regardless of what the situation in the game is, whether you're winning or losing, you are having a fun, exciting time.
Oh, I loved what they did with the...
Like, if you lose the game, your team gets a dropship sent, and so you and your team have to try to escape the rest of the players to try to get a couple extra bonus points. But even if you've lost the game, it is so exhilarating to try to just run for that dropship, and like even if you're like the last person of your team, you feel like so excited, and like if one of your team members escapes, you're like, yes, they made it, and you lost.
And sometimes getting on that dropship is better than winning the game. Sometimes. There was definitely situations. There was one time where there was like 3 Titans guarding the way, and there was like 3 seconds left till the ship escaped, and I ran my Titan in, and my Titan was like sending me warning signals, and it was telling me it was about to explode. I ran it right into the other Titans, and I ejected, and I landed right on top of the jump ship and just like jumped in, and it was great. It was just like a split second before it left. You couldn't have paced it better for a movie.
That sounds like good mechanics. All right, I'm looking at this picture for the people at home who are too lazy to click on links.
Or
they look kind of sillier than I thought they would, actually. Well, this one guy's got thin, chickeny legs.
Okay, so there's basically, as far as I can tell, there's going to be 3 different...
It's like R2-D2 if someone decided to make him humanoid.
there's basically going to be 3 different types, as far as I can tell. The one on the right is called the Strider. It's super fast.
Chicken legs.
Yeah, it's super fast, super agile. It has 3
chicken fast
bursts, which are basically what they sound like. The one in the middle is, I think, the tankiest. I don't know the name of it, though.
I don't remember either.
This guy kind of looks like...
it's really tough.
What are those aliens from Mass Effect that breathe that weird gas? Short and fat.
The ones that breathe
Volix?
Vol.
Volus. Yeah, he kind of looks like a Volus.
Anyway, and then the one on the left was the one that
brother.
the one on the left was the one that they had in the beta, and it's called the Atlas. So I have a special attachment to that one. Though I will probably be using the one on the right when I get the game.
Okay, well that's pretty neat. So that sounds like a good multiplayer experience.
And imagine.
Right there.
Oh gosh, absolutely.
And also just the way you get into your Titan. Like, you can enter the Titan from any angle, from anywhere, and there's just always something different. And my favorite thing was, like, whenever, like, you're running and there's people shooting at you and you're trying to get away from them and you're going towards your Titan and you run and you jump and you're, like, about to die, and then your Titan just spins around and grabs you and sticks you into him, and the whole thing closes around you, and all of a sudden you're just unstoppable against these guys that have been chasing you. That's a good feeling.
That was I don't know. I had a fantastic time with the Titanfall beta. Speaking of betas, a beta that I did not have as positive of a time with was the Elderscrolls Online beta.
Yeah, we all got things to talk about this one. Okay.
I have mixed feelings about it at this point.
You know what's interesting?
What's up?
Well, actually, you know what? What's really interesting is you guys know me pretty well. I get a lot of my gaming news from a group of very nitpicky people who care way too much about the story than is probably good for them in the games industry. And they were all predicting that it would suck. And these are the same people. They hated Star Wars: The Old Republic, which Zingles loves. Don't you, Zingles?
No, well, I enjoyed it. There are definite problems with it, and I have found an MMO to replace it, and I'll never go back to it.
You liked it enough to spend money on it to get a special race. Yeah.
Well, I just subscribed to it.
Okay, so these are really nitpicky, hard to please people. They did the beta and they liked it. They liked it a lot. So I'm like, oh, maybe it's gonna be good. And then I go to you, Zingles, and I'm like, oh, how's it gonna be? And you say,
well, here's the thing though. When I talked to you, I had just played my kind of first try on it, and I was not happy. I had a really, really bad first impression on it, and I had a much more positive second playthrough of it. And I didn't get super far in still because the beta ran out and all that. But my first impression was of just pure... I was mainly just annoyed with it. Second time through, there was definitely some things that I liked.
Well, I mean, part of that probably had to do with the fact that you had to get past your expectations of it being, you know, Skyrim, the multiplayer game.
Well, here's the thing, though, is that I didn't really know what to expect because I knew that they were really trying to break away from a lot of the old MMO stuff. But
yeah, and we're old hands at this. I mean, Zach and I were in Oblivion, you know. Then Skyrim, you know, you go back to Morrowind, they always do crazy changes in between games. They always mix stuff up. So
yeah,
you never know what you're gonna get when there's a new Elder Scrolls game.
I'd be interested in trying it again, but the thing is that what I saw was definitely not worth $60 plus $15 a month. If it was lower, or if it was like a one-time cost, or if it was, you know, if they just chose one thing to go with instead of just the max money they can get, then I would probably want to try it again.
Okay, well, I was not in the beta, but I actually have things to say about it. Because of some very nice reviewers who did some really in-depth reviews of them. Actually, it wasn't that in-depth, but they just posted a lot of gameplay footage, mostly, while explaining what was happening. And, let's see, I saw most of this from a critic known as Angry Joe.
Oh, I don't like him.
I
don't like Angry Joe.
Yeah, I don't like him either, because he's definitely not very incisive, you know? He's just kind of like, hey, having fun here. Oh, he seems like a nice guy. It's just, I've never really watched any of his reviews, but I saw, beta. Well, I'm cooking in the kitchen. I want something in the background. That's what I do. I'll put that on. He had one video for the player versus environment experience, you know, just you're messing around doing quests, and he did not like them. He did not like it one bit. He thought there was too much running around. Thought it didn't compare well compared to other MMOs, and I'm like, oh, so maybe it does suck. Then he does a whole video on the PvP. Have you guys done the PvP yet?
No, we didn't get
that far.
Yeah,
Okay.
we didn't get that far.
The PvP is the coolest friggin' thing I have ever seen in my life.
Wait, what? What did we miss?
And after he was done with his first video, which is just PvE stuff, he's like, yeah, I don't like this. And then as soon as the PvP one starts, he says, I've gotten to the PvP, and I've actually been playing this a lot, and I can actually see myself paying the monthly cost for this for at least a while. And I'm like, what? And I watch, guys, it is so cool. All right, there's this big map, huge map, world map. I mean, obviously there's a bunch of different versions of it, different servers, you know.
Yeah.
But you pick one that's just your server. There's the 3 factions fighting over stuff, and there's all these keeps scattered around, and the keeps have different locations around them, and they've got NPC guards guarding them, and everyone's fighting over them all the time, constantly.
So once you
And
take a keep, you can just hold it for your team.
yeah, and if you have a guild, you can actually own a keep. Like each guild can own one area. There's also like lumber mills and stuff which improve stuff in the keep it's attached to. But
Okay, that's kind of awesome.
they did this siege of it. There were catapults. There were catapults in the keep firing at the besiegers. The besiegers had catapults. There was like all these people there.
Jeez.
The siege took like an hour because they had to break through the outer walls, and once that was broken out, they charge in and kill everyone, and then they got to get through the keep, and then they get to the final part of the keep, and it looked so freaking epic. There was players everywhere.
Wow.
These servers can support like 2,000 people at once.
Okay, that is pretty awesome.
Yes, and he was amazing. He went through this huge, long siege, and then when they finally get to the end, apparently death is pretty punishing, but I think it kind of has to be in this sort of scenario. Otherwise, there's no point in killing people. They'll just keep getting back up.
Yeah.
Basically, you respawn somewhere far away from the fight, and you have to run all the way back if you want to get back to it. But they had lost so many people by the time they got to the final stage of the siege, and most of them had not come back, that the defenders rode out and charged and blasted them with spells and swords and killed them all.
Huh.
And it was epic looking.
That's so cool. Okay, I usually, in every MMO I've ever played, despise PvP with a passion that can only be described as religious. I just hate it. So I wasn't even planning on trying the PvP, but that sounds really neat.
Yeah, this looking at it, it's something like I looked at that and I'm like, wow, I do not do MMOs. I do not do MMOs I pay for, but this is actually tempting looking.
Huh. Yeah,
So I would actually check out the Angry Joe PvP video just because it's pretty much all gameplay footage and gives you an idea what it's about. He had a bit of footage at the end from another guy where there's 3 different groups, and this one keep was under siege by the other 2 groups at the same time.
oh, wow.
Jeez.
And when the other 2 groups realized they were both sieging the keep, they attacked each other, and there was this huge field battle with like 50 people on each side while the defenders throw catapult stuff at them.
Man, if you're going to do PvP, go big or go home. And I love the idea of getting like the lumber mills and stuff to, increase. And there's going to be guilds holding these.
Yeah, it's like, and here's the thing. Once you actually capture the keep, it's still wrecked. You have to repair it.
Of course.
That's really cool. I'd be interested in retrying that.
I don't know.
Yeah. So just check that out.
That I
It's
could
kinda
possibly
interesting. That was
see being
my
interesting.
thought.
I mean, the combat was definitely the combat was entertaining. The combat was fun. I don't the PvE stuff was just.
The PvE stuff was like
It was old. It was your
classic
MMO stuff,
but it felt a lot. And you know what? That's the thing is that when I went back into it and tried my second time around, I did enjoy the PvE a little more than I did my first time around. It wasn't enough for me to want to go out and buy it, but I was having fun. they have a really good crafting system in the game as well. Every other MMO out there that I've ever played, it's like, you know, crafting is something that you have to work up to the highest level for it to be useful. In this game, I started crafting and immediately the stuff I could make was really good. Like, and I could upgrade stuff and I could make enchanted stuff like right off the bat. And I thought that was really cool because like within about 20 minutes I was in like full head to toe heavy orcish armor. And I like the way you didn't do any crafting, did you?
Of course I didn't.
Okay, so basically each race can craft armor from their own race. And I was playing an orc, of course, and so I could craft the orcish styled armor, and it takes a special like material per armor type, and then you can use real world time to learn other crafting styles. So I don't know, I thought that was actually really neat. The crafting was a lot of fun, and my second time through, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna take this a little slower, I'm just gonna try to enjoy myself. I went through and I actually enjoyed the PvE stuff just because the combat's really fun. I mean, it's not anything really different from any other MMO, but it has the quests are very similar to other MMOs.
Yes,
but
the combat was very, very different.
Really fun. But it also feels really slow paced. You don't level up fast. You don't. It's a huge map, and you're wandering forever. So there was definitely downsides to it.
What was frustrating about me was taking the
frustrating about you.
Frustrating for me was taking the. Okay, you pop in an Elder Scrolls game, you pick a direction, you walk, you see what you find. You couldn't do that with this.
We knew that you wouldn't be able to do that in this, though.
I wanted to.
But with that many people and that kind of... I don't think that there's a way you could really do that. I mean, even EVE Online doesn't do that.
Well...
They don't really.
Okay, first of all, EVE doesn't have a franchise that is... EVE... didn't have a franchise it was trying to live up to.
I'm giving an extreme here. I'm saying
that was trying to say, hey,
not even scary space person lets you do that because there's not really a way that you can balance it with that many people, as far as I can see, anyway.
Well, and that brings us to our third segment.
Wait! I did want to.
It will bring us to our third segment in a second. Continue.
I did want to bring up one more thing about the PvP that looked cool. Is basically the whole area is a PvP zone. So if you can wander around in quests and do open world stuff in that area, but if you run into an enemy, they might decide to kill you. And at one point, it showed some footage where he basically snuck up on someone and they got in a big fight, and it looked really... It's just... I know that the only reason I ever wanted multiplayer in an Elder Scroll game was so that I could take my leveled up character and run into somebody and match wits with them.
Well, the other thing is that the PvP area is Cyrodiil. Just Cyrodiil.
Yeah, it's basically Cyrodiil. Apparently, it's still pretty big, but that was Angry Joe calling it big. I don't know what he considers big, but he said it would probably take about a half hour to go along one side of it. So, big? I don't know.
I don't know. I always wanted a multiplayer in Elder Scrolls games so that I could quest alongside someone.
See, I think that's where you and I are different. I want to smush someone or be smushed.
Someone sounds like they need to play some Rust.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of which, Mark, if you can get a hold of that game, I'm trying to get a hold of it as well.
$20 on Steam.
We're gonna play some Rust. Anyway, though, back to what we were saying.
Zingallsartman and I were talking the other day about what we would change, if anything, and for me, there is many, many things, what we would change about the modern MMO to fix it, make it better, alter it. Because I don't know. At least in my opinion, MMOs as they currently stand are very broken. They are not... I don't like them.
I don't necessarily think they're broken. I just think that there's so much more you could do with them, and that they're not trying to move anywhere besides World of Warcraft. And
for me, I don't do MMOs, and this is just a matter of personal taste. I don't like most MMOs because they seem like a constant, okay, you get a quest now, run over here, do this thing, now run back, get another quest, run over here, do this thing. And you know, I think I complained to you about that once, Zingles, when we were playing Neverwinter, and you're like, well, this is what MMOs are. You know,
Well, and
if you don't like running around doing quests, you're not gonna have a good time.
and that's true in most MMOs that I've played up until max level. And at max level, you still do some quests, but it's a lot more about doing the dungeons and the raids and stuff, which are really the reason that I like to play the games. Those are so much fun. Like working with a team to just get something done like that, something that's really, really hard, is a lot of fun. And I mean, unfortunately, you don't really get the good stuff. You don't really get to do the good stuff until you're at the max level, which means you got to go to a lot of glowing question marks or exclamation points and turn them into glowing question marks and then talk to those people. I think Neverwinter actually made some really nice adjustments to the MMO thing. They didn't really change much. It's pretty much like it's got a lot of the same stuff that you've seen in every other MMO, but they made a lot of little adjustments that I really like, and so it's actually taken my MMO focus.
Yeah. I don't know. My thoughts are that MMOs need to decide if they are going to be a single player or a multiplayer game. What I mean by that is so many of the MMOs that are out there are painting you as the hero, the big epic hero that's supposed to go save the universe in a way that nobody else can or whatever. But you're following the same path as everybody else doing the exact same
I don't think
thing.
that in many of the MMOs that I've played have done that. I mean, SWTOR definitely did that. But Neverwinter and World of Warcraft don't do that.
What about WoW? You know, how many people have defeated the Lich King?
Exactly.
Well, yes.
Exactly.
But
I think that's what it's talking about.
yeah.
You know?
Okay. Well, yeah. That. But and I do agree. I think it would be really fun if okay. In the questing, the worst part about the questing is when someone else runs over and grabs what you're working on. And Neverwinter, thank goodness, took care of that, where they're like, you know, if there's one thing here, everyone can take it, so that doesn't happen. But I'm still used to like the World of Warcraft. There's just one of these, you know. And like today, I was doing some dailies, and there was like this tree I had to plant, and there's a bunch of guys there, and I had to fight them off. And it took me a while to fight them because I'm a healer, so I don't do a lot of damage. And I finally killed him, and I was walking over to plant the little tree or whatever, and this guy just comes running in, he sprints in, and he slides, and he grabs it, and I was like, I'm gonna freaking kill you. Like, I was so mad, but it was there for me. But I was just like, I was so mad for a minute. I was about ready to like block him and just do something mean or something. I don't know.
But you know, Neefu, that you're right about the whole, is it a single player or is it a multiplayer game? Because I think a lot of MMOs kind of miss out on the reason they're multiplayer. Like, Neverwinter could be a single player, well, just a regular game if it with a multiplayer function where I play with my friends. I don't care about anyone else there. You know, it seems to me that we don't really need massive multiplayer for a lot of things. MMOs
we need minimal multiplayer.
That you could do them with normal multiplayer. However, there are some really interesting things you could do that only work MMO-wise. The first thing I'm thinking of that actually exists is Eve. Eve could not exist without being an MMO. Yeah. It's all about everything's made by the players. So I think what could be really interesting is if we had more stuff where it was like a bunch of players working together to create something, protect something, or destroy something. Like, that's why I think...
Curiosity!
yeah. That's why I think the PvP in Elderscrolls Online looks interesting, because it was a ton of people working together to take out these keeps. Like, I just think an interesting MMO might be something where it's like, in my head, like, on one side you got like this Zerg alien race, and on this other side you have this super technology alien race, and they're fighting over a planet, and they build things, and like some people are builders. I mean, they can probably still fight too, but they build these awesome things, and it's all about, hey, can we get this giant thing built before the other aliens show up and cover us with goo, or build citadels everywhere.
I was thinking the other day as I was doing some questing about how to just improve that system, and I like we've said, I don't care about all the other people being in the general area of me. That doesn't do anything for me. It's not like, oh, look, there are other people here, so I feel special. You know, but I actually do like seeing the other people in like the cities and stuff. It makes them feel really vibrant and alive. So I was thinking, well, what about like a hub city? Like there's these single or minimally multiplayer areas that you go to, and they're all connected by this like main city or barracks or something that, you know, per server or whatever. There's a lot of people there, and there you can form up your groups and go out into these single or minimal player areas from that center area.
Some of the games that are coming out in the near future are actually kind of playing a little bit with the boundaries between a single and a multiplayer game in really, really interesting ways. I think one of the coolest ones that I've seen or heard about is Watch Dogs, which is primarily a single player game. However, there's a gameplay option where you can go into other people's games and like track down you can go into somebody else's game and track down that character or the player for that game, and then they'll get a message that they're being tracked by someone, and then they'll like chase you. And the more you do that to other people, the more you open yourself up to that being done to you. And I know I probably explained it horribly, but
no, I see what you're talking about there.
But the downside again is that's again PvP, and we have a lot of interesting PvP games. I mean, Titanfall for one, and apparently Elder Scrolls is at least doing something different with their PvP. But like, we haven't done a lot of there's not any real interesting PvE, and like that is the one thing I do like. What?
I got a perfect example of a massively multiplayer online game that is entirely PvE, but also has a hint of PvP in a way that could never be done anyway other than massively
Eve,
multiplayer.
You're getting hit.
Twitch plays Pokemon.
Oh gosh.
Oh. Link in the description.
If you're not aware, this is probably a couple weeks back for you guys. No, because it'll be long gone by that point. This will be our closing topic, but Twitch plays Pokemon. Someone decided to stream an emulator of Pokemon Red or Blue on Twitch, where the people who are in the chat are typing in the commands of what the player character in the game is doing. I think last I checked, they're about 9 days of playing time into it, and they have 5 badges.
Yeah.
And they've let into the wild like 3 or 4 of their important
The most
Pokemon.
interesting thing is that the people that are playing it have come up with this lore and reasons
Consult
behind
the Helix.
Yeah, I guess in one of the battles, they kept selecting the Helix fossil in their inventory, and because I mean, there's a million people controlling it, and
100,000
whatever. Anyway, and so they came up with this lore that he was consulting the Helix fossil, and it has become this like god deity, and they have
nicknames for all the
nicknames
Pokemon,
for everyone, and they have
Bird Jesus.
They have prophecies. They're like, and then the Helix fossil will rise into the great Pokemon Amistar and lead the hero to his destiny through the elite, and like defeat the Elite Four and stuff. And it's just like
that's great.
But you watch it, and it's
nothing happens.
It's just the antics of a crazy person who will like. Once he gets into the start menu, it's just him like saving 100 times and then letting a Pokemon free into the wild.
I've got it, Singles. I've got it. The answer is come unto me. Praise Amistar. You were saying we need more PvE. Neefu and I have been saying what's the point? What's the point of making an MMO? You know, unless all the people are going to be involved. What we need is a freaking Pokemon MMO.
That would be really neat.
No, I'm serious.
No,
okay,
I've
catching
definitely
Pokemon.
thought of this.
That's the PvE. But then you get together and you can have tournaments. And here, it's like there's a huge Pokemon stadium where everyone's mingling and they're buying stuff and they're together. But then you find people and you challenge them to duels and you go off to a stadium and it's you and your guys against his guys.
And somehow
so you're kind of
we're
getting
back to Pokemon.
All of that together.
Ball circle.
Come on, wouldn't you love to be in an MMO
that-
and challenge
Mark,
someone to a Pokemon
Mark,
duel?
I have spent hours thinking on how there could be a Pokemon MMO, because those are two of my favorite things. I've spent a lot of time thinking of it, and I have a lot of ideas. So, yes, no, that definitely should be done. Definitely.
There, we fixed MMOs.
Come on, Nintendo.
Good work, everyone.
And on that Pokalicious note,
Oh, of course it would be on the freaking
Actually,
Wii U
they're
because it's Nintendo.
you know, that's a different topic. But they're
Well-
building a new console, I hear,
Well,
because no one buys the Wii U.
called the PU. Anyway,
okay. Well, on that Pokalicious note, I am Neefu. You can find me on Facebook and Twitter at Straight Up Neefu and on YouTube at Neefu. You can find Zingallsartman here on Facebook and Twitter at Zingallsartman. He doesn't ever post anything on there, and when something is
or maybe I
posted,
do, or it's
usually
just
me.
invisible.
And you can find Mark here on the page nebula.wordpress.com. And you can find the podcast here, the podcast that we do, on cooldownttimer.com, iTunes, Stitcher, and Cooldown Timer podcast on YouTube. We also are posting a butt ton, well, not a butt ton. We're going through Amnesia. This game
Definitely
is
check
scary.
out our Amnesia videos.
Check out
Neefu screams a lot. They're highly
episode
entertaining.
16, definitely.
And someone please watch them because they are awful to make.
Yeah, they are painful.
They are
very
most amusing.
Yeah, so
See you guys next week.
yeah,
and
see you next week.
Check out our
and
Amnesia videos.
What is the
Oh
the
yeah, question of the week is what do you guys think could improve an MMO? Give us an idea.
Thanks
And then make it. Bye.
thanks for joining us, everybody. Bye-bye now.